Hi everybody! Today we are doing something a little different. This is, first off, a video about the show Supernatural, which should be airing its final few episodes by the time this comes out. Second, it's not exactly a theory.
We are going to be talking about how we think Supernatural should end, not how it will end. We will not be recapping the entire series, so it is a good idea to catch up on the major events of the series or finish the show so far before watching. Otherwise, there are major spoilers ahead.
To start, we will cover the major events that should lead up to the finale, then we will create a timeline of events for the finale and offer a fun ending we thought up. We will also be talking about 3 major themes that have been a part of the show since the first episode: loyalty, family, and sacrifice.
As the series continues going into the next episodes, we hope to see scenes of the Winchesters gathering together people they've encountered, made connections with, or even fought with in preparation for their common goal of defeating Chuck.
We see Kaz visit the Wayward Sisters, and there's a moment shared between him and Claire. Sam goes back to Hell to talk to Rowena about demons and maybe even the witches backing them up. He also goes to get Eileen. They embrace. Dean meets with the alpha of the vampires, werewolves, and other monsters, maybe Garth as well. He also goes to get Adam/Michael.
Next, we see Chuck capturing/imprisoning Amara out of fear she will team up with the Winchesters. He laments to her, and she snaps in a moment of anger, saying something along the lines of, "They are going to find out who you really are."
It is then revealed through Chuck's narration over a flashback that he isn't really God. He is Amara's brother, but not capital G-O-D, and a very powerful deity who has been pretending to be God to entertain himself/watch his stories play out. The flashbacks reveal that Chuck Shirley was actually a prophet of the Lord who was killed by Chuck the deity at some point during season 6. His death gave way to Kevin being the new prophet and explains why we didn't see Chuck for 5 seasons.
Next, at some point, probably around episode 18, Cass gets dragged into the empty, fulfilling his deal. The reason is, via some circumstance, Dean says, "I love you," in a romantic or platonic way. This is the only viable way Cass could truly be happy, as he has Jack back with his soul fully intact.
As Dean tells him this, the shadow appears behind him and the screen goes black. The next episode opens with a zoom in on Kaz's face and Dean's voice in the background. Kaz opens his eyes and the camera zooms out. He's laying in the empty and the shadow sits on a throne. It looks like Dean.
Castiel questions the shadow, asking why it wanted him there so badly. The shadow answers that the empty is the only place where they can talk freely without Chuck listening in. The shadow reveals to Castiel that it is the real God. It explains that Chuck tried and failed to kill it, so instead he trapped him. With God in the empty, able to take only the form of others, always tethered, Chuck could do as he pleased. God gives Cass the way to defeat Chuck.
The empty lets Kaz go and he returns to the Winchesters. An emotional greeting happens, but Kaz cannot tell them what he knows and is very vague about how to defeat Chuck. This causes a rift briefly. Just before the last episode, Billy appears privately to Jack and says something like, "It's time." Both of them disappear.
The finale opens with a compilation of clips from the entire series and Carry On My Wayward Son plays. At the end, every single logo flashes and it ends with no music, just a black screen with the word Supernatural in white.
The Winchesters prepare for war and we see old faces as they prepare. Bobby shoves angel blades in a duffel, Charlie cocks a shotgun, Jody and Donna are talking to a group of Apocalypse World hunters, and Claire and Kaya are doing something as well.
They arrive on the battlefield, and we see Impala taillights next to the sign. It reads, Stull Cemetery. Sam, Dean, and Cass step out of the car, seemingly alone. Chuck emerges at the other end of the field, Amara chained by his side. Cass asks where Jack is, and a response comes from off-screen. Jack is standing next to Billy. Behind them is every angel we've seen on the show. The front lines include Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. The camera pans outward, revealing the hunters, demons, angels, and monsters all prepared to fight what they believe to be their creator. Prey and Predator united.
The battle begins with Chuck conjuring waves of leviathans and other hybrid monsters to fight the Winchesters and their team. Suddenly all the noise stops and Sam, Dean, and Kaz wake up in different rooms, reminiscent of the empty alone. Chuck enters Sam's and begins to berate him, bringing up every insecurity and lasting issue from the past 15 years. This is interlaced with cuts of Chuck doing the same to Dean and Kaz. They eventually meet up and Chuck faces the 3 of them.
The battle rages on outside. Jack briefly speaks to Michael and Gabriel. We get shots of Donna and Jody fighting back to back, Bobby and Charlie, Rowena doing magic, etc. Inside, Chuck reveals what he did to Dean, while Sam attempts to sneak up on him, and Cass moves toward Amara. He begins whispering to her. Sam takes a large lunge at Chuck's back, but Chuck swings around, catching him. He attempts to kill Sam, but Dean gets in the way, sacrificing himself and saving Sam. The first part of the way to kill Chuck.
Meanwhile, Kaz has freed Amara and she snaps Sam, Kaz, and a dying Dean out of the room. They land in the cemetery, but all Chuck's monsters have gone. Amara faces off against Chuck, one arm behind her back. They verbally fight until finally Amara brings forward what she was holding. It's the gun Chuck made for Dean to kill Jack with. She points and shoots. The gun hits Chuck just above his heart, and she pulls her dress away, revealing the same wound covering the mark of Cain. They become black and white smoke once again, but unlike in Season 11, they return to the earth instead of to the sky.
Outside, a small circle has formed around a body. Dean dies on a Thursday, surrounded by his loved ones, in the arms of Sam and Cass, Jack beside him. A bright light emits from the center of the field. It's God, finally freed. He gives Cass the charge of rebuilding heaven a different way. This allows Cass to visit any heaven he chooses, a way where the angels learn from humans, not look down on them. The archangels make up. Gabriel finally goes home.
God pulls Jack aside and asks him to come to heaven for a while so he can finally master his powers. He also talks to Sam but denies bringing Dean back from the dead. He encourages Sam to pursue Eileen. Dean spends his afterlife in his personal heaven, which is within the bunker during a peaceful point. Since Sam is still alive, Dean's heaven is empty at first, however Kaz is able to come and visit him. Over time, Dean tracks down people he has loved and lost and invites them to visit his heaven. We see clips of people like Ash, Joe, and Ellen entering the bunker.
Even though the show will likely be left open, there could also be clips from later in time of Sam, Eileen, Bobby, Charlie, Donna, Jody, and Claire joining as time passes. As the show fades out, we will hear the fan fiction, or 200th episode version, of Carry On Wayward Son as the end credits play. The only difference between this finale and the first finale idea we went over is the ending. Instead of the Winchesters, God, and creation ultimately winning the fight against Chuck, Chuck wins. We don't mean that he will get the Cain and Abel ending he has been hoping for, but we do mean that the Winchesters will be unsuccessful. God finds a way to permanently rewind time in everyone's memories. Cass will never know who they are, they will never encounter angels, and the story of the Winchesters starts from scratch.
Chuck turns back time, scenes from every season moving in reverse around him until the screen goes black. It's the first episode again. Sam tackles Dean to the floor. Dean says the line, "Dad's been on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home in a few days." Everything is exactly the same as it was before, with one small difference. Sam refuses to follow his brother. The screen fades to black once again, and the only phrase, "in the beginning," is seen on screen.
By saying no, Azazel never comes in during the night to kill Jess. Sam finishes school, becomes a lawyer, and starts a family. Maybe they have a little boy, or maybe two. Maybe Azazel decided to wait a generation before taking revenge on the Winchester family once again.
Either way, this ending leaves the door open in case the creators ever wanted to do something with the story again. Maybe a movie about Dean hunting alone, maybe a show about Sam and his apple pie life.
Over the course of the past 15 years, themes have arched over multiple seasons, or episodes, but 3 in particular have set a basis for the whole show. These themes are loyalty, family, and sacrifice. The main 3 characters exhibit one of these themes each.
Loyalty is Sam. The constant struggle in the first 2 seasons of loyalty towards an absent, borderline abusive father, loyalty to his brother, and in the first couple of episodes, loyalty to his girlfriend and new life outside of hunting. In seasons 4 and 5, he struggles with loyalty to Ruby, a demon, but his source of blood. His loyalty to Dean is something consistently tested by demons, angels, and monsters alike. Sam has always been in a spot of limbo, a decision of who to go to, where he belongs. The finale, if done right, should show us a Sam who is content.
Family is Castiel. From the moment Castiel is introduced, he is already questioning where he belongs. This consistent turmoil of what family he belongs to is present in every key scene regarding him. Does he belong to family in heaven, an absentee father, and siblings that were like generals, or a newfound family like the Winchesters, people who love him? The finale, if done right, should show us a Castiel who is making his family the way he wants, whether it's in heaven or on earth.
Sacrifice is Dean, a son indebted to his father. the one who made a deal with a demon, cutting his life short for his little brother, the sacrificial lamb. Dean, who has died so many times it's considered a joke among fans, the one who gives and gives and gives. The finale, if done right, should show us a Dean who doesn't have to give, but rather receives.
These themes also fall into the idea of team free will. Team is Sam, a choice of which side he's on. Free is Dean, breaking from the cycle of sacrifice, and Cass is Will, rebelling against his first family, choosing freedom in his newfound family.
We really love this show, so we wanted to talk about some of the endings that we would like to see happen in a perfect world. Nothing in this video is anyway canon, nor an accurate prediction, although that doesn't mean there is no chance that some of these events may occur in the last few episodes of the series.
We also wanted to address a few themes that have been prominent throughout the show, and apply them to specific characters that they seem to fit well. We hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below if you have any theory ideas in any fandom, or if you'd like to see a video like this again. Our next video will be out around the 21st of October if you're interested in a quick overview theory about Coraline.
It's him, it's Dr. Sexy.